I mean, I've been told by multiple coaches that you have become a leader of the slot back group. Kind of tell me, did you feel that was something you needed to take on?
Not really. I felt like I always took it on really since last year. I learned from Chance Warren, AC, that being a leader in the room. And the guy that was here years ago, he told me this on the phone: be the leader in the room, be vocal. So that's what I do. I've been doing it since I was in high school. Well, since I was born, I've been a leader, not a follower. So it's just natural.
So this unit, the slots, lost both starters to transfer. How do you replace those two guys? That was a lot of reps, a lot of carries, a lot of everything. How do you replace two guys that were starters and productive players?
I don't really say replace. We were all really here. We just need an opportunity. Now this year it's like our opportunities. Now we're gonna take it and just keep moving forward. The two guys we lost, they're very talented, but we learned for those two how they play on the field and how they carry themselves off the field. So we just learn and we just keep moving forward. We were already here, like I said. Now it's an opportunity to make it happen, be playmakers, and just take full advantage of what's being thrown at us.
So there are some guys coming back that have plenty of experience. Yourself, Daniel Jones, Kai, among others. Can you talk about, do you feel like you've got guys who, are ready to step up and really assume more of a, more reps, more on-field production?
Oh, yes, sir. Especially all of us, in the room that had the experience, we were ready, But we tell the guy that's behind us, we tell the guy, that's getting reps with us that never played our position, like the guy back there, Anton. We just teach him how the A-back room is, how we carry ourselves as a grown man, We like Coach Thomas say, we do everything. We the playmakers. We are the dudes. We are him. So that's how we carry ourselves.
So there's a lot of talk about how, because the cut blocking rules have been changed, you're not allowed to cut a safety or a corner to lead your fellow slot into the hole on the perimeter. People think that diminishes the slot back's role, that they're not pitching it as much. Can you tell us? Is it same old for what the slots do?
Cutting wise, honestly, in my opinion, I never really like cutting. When Coach Thomas, he showed us our film, he never cut. It would be more physical. So, the cutting, we don't care. We're just going to be physical on the perimeter, We may be short, but don't let the height fool you. We're big, we're strong, we're very athletic. We'll come in, we'll give you a good pop. A very good pop.
So there are some new guys to the room, and I was going to, Anton's one of them, and I've been hearing good things about Anton. And they moved him because he's a bigger guy, and as you were just talking about, blocking, more of a straight-up blocking, he can do that, but he's also a great runner, as we've seen from his past tape at fullback.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk about Anton. You're glad to have him over there with you in this unit?
Very glad. When he walked in the room, I was like, what are you doing in here? But then he told me they moved me to slot back. When he first got in the room, he was a little upset. But I told him, hey, you're in a better position now to get the ball in your hands. It's more permanent now. You'll be able to pancake guy that's tall, but maybe less weight, more than you. So just have fun playing this position. That's what I tell him, Just let it play out. Let it play out. Then once he get it, it's Anton being Anton. He's moving like he's supposed to move with the ball in his hand. So it's nothing really new to him. I just told him just let it play out, just be calm, be patient, get in the film room, then let this play ball. That's it.
Another guy I've been hearing good things about is Brandon Chapman. He showed out during the spring, then he got hurt, but now he's back, and apparently he's picked up where he left off. Is Brandon Chapman a guy that we can expect to hear things from this season?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's a Florida boy. So that's what we Florida guys do. We show out when when the ball's out here, we show out. We are the playmaker. That's what we did in Florida. So yes, you will hear Brandon Chapman a lot. You will hear Anton a lot. You hear me a lot. We're from Florida. We've been doing it since we were back at home. So it's nothing new to us.
So I was talking to Coach Newberry last Saturday at the scrimmage at the stadium, and I asked him about some freshmen that might travel. He mentioned 2 slot backs that he thinks could do so. Is that the future of the position? Is it good to see freshmen who are already ready to contribute and get on the bus and go to Dublin?
Yes, sir. I've heard only about one. We call him T-Brad, Tyler Bradley. That's what I've heard about. He's like a little me, kind of, but shorter. A lot of people, they make fun of me and him because we look alike. Yes, but him, he's going to be with us. Like how I was freshman year, me and the other slot back. It's very good to have a young slot back come with you because you may never know when your time may come. My time came, it was on special teams, but you may never know when your time will come. So I'll make sure I keep him on wing, make sure he's prepared for anything that's possible.
So now I got to ask about your new coach at slot backs, Marcus Thomas. He played slot back here. He's one of the better ones they've ever had. I don't know if you did the research, but he ranks among the top all-purpose yards guys in Navy history. Guy was a kick returner, did a lot of things. Just what you want a slot back to be. Very versatile.
Yes, sir.
How do you like Marcus Thomas coaching you?
Not that I like him, I love him. You know, he brings the real pit bull out of the slot back how we supposed to be. He brings that energy to us. And sometimes if you watch him how he move like he's still a player, but you're a coach. He still has cleats on. But it's just like the mentality he has, and he carries that with us. I have that mentality that we are the slot back, we are the A-backs, we are the dudes. And special teams wise, like that's what he did a lot of special teams. So you're gonna see, like I said, you're gonna see a few of us on special teams on kickoff, KR, punt return, because that's what he brought in us to do. And him having them yards, that's crazy. He actually told us one story about it. I don't want to get into it, but here's a funny story how he got the yardage. But yes, that's the mentality he brought. We're going to carry that throughout the whole year.
Anton, I've been hearing good things about how you made the adjustment. They like what you're doing. Kind of tell me, have you picked it up? Have you made the transition, or is it still ongoing?
I mean, I definitely have made a lot of headway, a lot of improvements, definitely from spring. And I'm still, learning, picking up on a lot of stuff, moving from slot back to fullback. It's like I got to learn a lot of like motions. I got to learn like routes, like route patterns, all this stuff. And then also it's like a different type of blocking, And at fullback, I kind of just stepped up and I cut block, because that rule was still intact. But now I have to, run out and like stay with the man, and we can't cut block anymore, so I got to stay up top. But I mean, I'm picked up on it though. Like it was a big transition for me. I didn't really like it at first. I kind of struggled, but I kind of just put the team before myself, and then started to pick up on it. And I know that my brothers needed me at this position, and the coaches put me here for a reason. So I definitely just took it as a challenge, and then I accepted it, and now like it shows. And I'm just thankful, that I'm in the position I am in right now.
So Amin is kind of the senior leader of this group. I've heard good things from the coaches that he's really been leading. What can you say about him?
I mean, he's been the same way ever since I met him. He's always been kind of like a little big brother, to me. But also, I sometimes got to play a big brother too, But, it switches off. But he's definitely taught me a lot about this position, He was one of the first guys to talk to me after I had my transition from fullback to slot back in. And really, really, got my hopes up, Like I said, I was pretty down. And, he told me, just take it as a challenge, stay headstrong, and keep going, and then sooner or later it'll just be me and you on the field, And I really did accept that, and I truly am thankful for him, because I don't know if I would be in the position I am right now without him.
So, I mean, we have seen your ability in the open field. I think that you could be very dangerous around the perimeter if you, get, sprung for some, second level or something. I mean, have you had some runs out here in practice where that's happened? I mean, I can see you on the perimeter doing some damage.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's hard out here, because definitely against our defense, they see our offense all day, every day, So they know what's coming before we even get the ball out. But I've had a couple runs. I actually got to the second level and then made some moves. But it definitely is still. I'm still trying to get it. Trying to keep my feet up under me, kind of running at an angle and then trying to make a move. But I'm getting there though. I have, and to answer your question, I have. I've had a couple runs. Yeah.
So is the big transition? I mean, before you're doing the mesh, now you're taking pitches, and I imagine that's hard at first. And the pitch isn't always perfect, and slot back's got to make the quarterback look good by handling whatever pitch comes his way. Has that been one of the challenges, learning the pitch out?
I think the pitch compared to the mesh is something totally different. The mesh is completely hard. I would 10 times out of 10, I would rather take a pitch than going through the mesh. The mesh, a lot of stuff can happen, and then plus O-line can get blown back into it and all that stuff. But the pitch is just between you and the quarterback. Man, you can't get your eyes on your defender right in front of you, but keeping your eyes on the quarterback. I know the quarterback's not gonna make a stupid decision. I put my trust in him, so he's not gonna pitch me the ball and get blown up. But I would definitely say the pitch is better than the mesh.
So one of the things the coaches told me when they said why they moved you, that you're a bigger body, that now that you cannot cut block on the perimeter, that a bigger guy helps, and that you can, you can use your body a little bit better. Is that been a key element? They are looking at you. I know blocking's so important at this position.
Yeah.
And how have you made that adjustment?
I mean, definitely with Coach Thomas, he's definitely put that dog in me, definitely gave me that mentality, just go at it. And like I'm a bigger body, like bigger than, at A-back. So like, I know the other guy's gonna come at me, but I gotta go right back at him. And like, I just know that now that like how they put me, like I am a bigger body and I go up on the edge, I know that it'll definitely help our offense. And I'm ready to do whatever I have to do, to get us to that point.
So some would say the slot back's a question mark because the two guys that got the most reps, that had the most production last year, are gone. They both transferred, Vincent Terrell and Mikel Haywood. Do you feel like this unit's going to get the job done? Do you got the personnel to replace that production?
Again, like I definitely do think, like, don't get me wrong, like those are my brothers. Like to this day, I'll still like if they hit me up, I'll hit them up, and if they're doing something good this season coming up, I'll definitely go out there and say good job. But I think we're ready. Like those two guys was a hit, I'm not gonna lie, but we just it's next man up, like, and I know, like, again, Coach Chestnut and Coach Thomas, they prepared us for this, and they know that this position is very vital for this offense, and they know that A's make plays, so we're gonna be ready. I think that this position group is more than ready,
I've been seeing you've been schooling the guys because I was talking to Amin Hassan yesterday, and he knew all of your career stats and stuff about your special teams glory. You've been schooling them up, huh?
I have not. They probably Googled that information.
Well, why don't you talk about the whirlwind for you? I mean, seems like just yesterday you were coaching at UCLA, and then you came here to work recruiting, and next thing you know, you're coaching the slot backs.
Right, man. It's definitely been a full circle experience for me. I tell the guys all the time, I still remember when I was a plebe, getting recruited, then, at Naps and then a plebe, and, graduated. Was a TAD for one season in 2014, and then Marine Corps officer after that for 5 years. And then I got out of the Marine Corps and got an opportunity to go to UCLA, work with Coach Kelly as an analyst on the offensive side of the ball. And then last summer, I talked to Coach Nehemiah, and he brought me back as director of player personnel. And fast forward to January, now I'm on the field coaching slot back. So, like I said, it's been a full circle moment for me. Actually coaching the position that I played at my school, it's a cool experience. It's been a cool experience.
Was that kind of your ultimate goal, to be an on-field coach? And I mean, it seems the perfect fit for you to be coaching slot backs at the Naval Academy.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a more natural, I guess, position for me than director of player personnel. I enjoyed that, but this was more natural because it's like playing football. You're on the field, actually on the grass with the guys. So I'm really enjoying that.
So how much of your experience playing slot back at Navy is transferable to now? I mean, things have changed. You can't cut block on the perimeter the way you used to in your day. But, I mean, a lot of the basic skills are the same. You got to go in tail motion. You got to be able to catch a pitch. You do have to block. It's just a different style of blocking. Can you talk about, your experience and, how you're able to, because you bring some reality to, some validity, some whatever the word would be to this coaching position.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely can relate to the guys having been recruited because of how well they run the ball, how well we ran the ball in high school, and now you come here to play in this offense, and you're asked to not only be a good ball carrier, but you have to be able to run sideways catching the ball. You have to be able to take handoffs. You have to be able to block defensive backs and block linebackers, block guys way bigger than you. So that none of that has changed. I mean, you can't cut block anymore, but I mean, honestly, not a lot of times, but sometimes we didn't always cut, when we played. So I can definitely show those guys old film, of guys not cutting, and actually stand up and blocking guys, and that it helps so they can visualize and not lean on saying, well, we all got away with it because y'all can cut. Well, we didn't cut always. But yes, having that experience playing the position, even with new offensive, schemes and that we're doing now, it's still the same. The basics are still the same. The footwork is still the same. Stance is still the same. Like you said, the tail motions, the twirl motions, the actual return motions, and being an all-around football player. Like I said, being able to run the ball, block, catch, being able to add value on special teams as well. You have to be that guy to play slot back at Navy. You have to be able to be a good football player.
So going back to when Jeff Monken was the slot backs coach, and I don't remember who coached you when you were at Navy at slot backs, but there was a slogan. You still spouting that slogan?
Yes, sir. A's make plays all day, in parentheses. But yes, A's make plays. That's not going away.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'll pass it off to someone else.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, you guys are, some of your guys in your group have some experience, but there's a lot of guys kind of coming into this for the first year. What has your advice been to them on, not only your opening game of the season, but your opening in Ireland and opening against Notre Dame? What have you been telling those guys to sort of get ready for next Saturday?
But for the guys who hadn't played a lot of football, like college football and all, just tell them, I remind them every day, it's just football. You've been playing this game since you were a little kid. Now it's just more people in the stands. You may be on TV, broadcast all over the world, but at the end of the day, it's football. After that first kickoff, it's just football. That's all it is. You take that mindset and don't make it bigger than what it is, then you'll be fine.
I know, we're still, a little bit away from Saturday, but when you look at the rotation, how do you imagine, do you guys think you'll play, multiple guys, 3 or 4? Traditionally, we've talked about maybe 3 or 4 guys in a rotation here. Do you think that's sort of what this situation you're looking at, or do you expect to play a lot of guys early in the season to sort of figure out who fits what?
I think we'll still keep a similar rotation than the way things have been in the past. Have your 4 core guys, and you hopefully like to have more guys than that. Guys, because it's football. You have injuries, you have guys get tired. So you have to have guys who can lean on and trust to put in the game. So the more the better, actually. But the rotation will be similar to what we did in the past. Yeah.
You touched on it a little bit earlier, but just sort of an overview. Are you teaching something that is that different than what you were doing? I mean, we talked about the offense and sort of evolving a little bit, but when you talk about the slot back position, is it basically the same principles you're teaching that you were learning, 8-9 years ago, or is it different sort of skill set that you're trying to evolve this position into?
It is not much different at all. It is the only difference is there's no cover. That's literally the only difference. The footwork, the speed, being able to play with leverage, none of that has changed. Being a crisp route runner, again, being an all-around football player, it has to do a lot, wear many different hats, as a slot back at the Naval Academy. So nothing has changed besides the fact that we can not cut block in the field. That's the only difference.
All right, thank you. Somebody else can step in if they want.
Thank you.
Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Coach, what is it about Amin at 5'7", 176 that makes him such a playmaker in college football?
He's just an all-around football player. He can do just about everything we ask him to do, well, at a high level, relative to, who we are at the Naval Academy and what we ask those guys to do. He's a football player who loves the game, wants to be good, is a team player, in every sense of the term. He's not afraid to block guys way bigger than him. It's just all around good football player. He's a punt returner. He's asked to, again, block guys, and he never shies away from that. And he does his part as a ball carrier. All those guys can carry the ball. That's why they got to do it. But Amin just provides that all-around football player, aspect that you love every guy on the football team have. But I'm glad he's in my room.
And how do you like this crew that you have going into the season, going into the Notre Dame, this group of slot backs that you've been with?
Oh, I love the group. I mean, they've done everything we've asked them to do. They've embraced everything that I've asked them to do, and we expect out of them, from that position. And they're eager. They want to play. We obviously have a few guys who you'll see, in games who haven't played college football. They haven't played, meaningful snaps in college football. And those guys are excited. I'm excited for them.
Do you like that mix, kind of having the veterans that have been there and kind of done that, who are emerging now as older players, along with those younger players, not only the sophomores that you have, but those plebes that have kind of stood out in the last couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely great having older guys who have experience in the program and actual experience playing in games and being able to, see things before they happen and just help those younger guys, help them get ahead, help them find answers to the tests, before it happens. It's definitely good helping them. They help me coach the young guys.
And you did pretty well in your days as a kick returner. What's impressed you about Daniel Jones returning kicks?
Oh, he's explosive, and he'll hit it. He's not scared to go. He's very explosive. Has a low center of gravity, and he can stop on a dime and make a cut going full speed, which I couldn't do all the time. So that's very impressive.
And what's it like for you to have two of your top players on special teams returns, not only as a punt returner, but also another as a kick returner?
Oh, I mean, it's great. That's what I told those guys the first night I met with them before fall camp. To be a Navy slot back, you have to be an all-around football player. You have to be able to play special, add value, in special teams. Whether you are the returner or you're not the returner, you have to be able to add value. So it is great that those guys have embraced that, and they want to play football, whether it's on offense or special teams. They want to be on the field playing football.
And finally, as a player, what did it mean to you to play against Notre Dame? And now as a coach, what will it mean for you to coach against Notre Dame?
Well, it was a cool experience as a player because, growing up, Notre Dame is, maybe the biggest brand in college football. And, I obviously didn't get recruited, by schools, on that level. So it was cool. It was a cool experience to get to know I was going to be able to play them every single year. And same thing as coaches, it's the same deal. You get to coach against, the big names and the big brands and go to Ireland to do it. So that's just cherry on top right there.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
Randy Cross.
Hey, Coach, what did you take away from your experience with Chip Kelly out there at my alma mater?
Oh, it was a lot. I learned a lot. Obviously, we did not run a triple option at UCLA, so that was a great learning experience for me just to see how people do things in a conventional offense. And obviously everybody knows about Coach Kelly's infatuation with the sports science deal. And how we practice and how the guys fuel and how they recover, just things that I never thought about as a player. You especially don't think about those things, but it was a great experience for me all around. I learned a lot, and I'm very appreciative of the opportunity.
How transferable are some of those things to your experience here?
Oh, they're immensely transferable. Because we tweak some things, as a program, and I'm able to provide, insight on what I saw, somewhere else. And we obviously have guys on staff who've been at other places as well, but it's good to be able to have that knowledge to, give it to whether it's Coach Newberry, whether it's Coach Volker, and maybe they can, that and do something with it, as it applies to our program here at Navy.
When you see it on film or you see it on person, how do you describe the ability to take a kickoff or take a punt and run as fast as you can straight ahead when at least 9 or 10 other people are coming just as fast at you to try to take you apart? When you see that in person, is that something that you just look at and go, okay, there it is, he's got it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely actually experiencing it's a rush. It's an adrenaline rush. But it takes you back to just being a little kid playing on the playground. Just all guys against all guys, even though it's not that an organized game, but it has that sort of feel. It's just you're not back there by yourself, but it's obviously more space than a scrimmage play because guys aren't lined up, shoulder to shoulder on the offensive line and defensive line. But just as far as evaluating guys, as kickoff returners or punt returners, just seeing guys who get vertical, who can get vertical and get up the field, and don't waste a lot of time. You obviously have to set up blocks and all, but guys that aren't afraid to get vertical and go make a play, gain yard.
It's great. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Red.
Wags, back to you.
Coach, I've got to write an article breaking down the position a little bit. Going into preseason camp, the depth chart was Brandon Chapman was the starter, and Amin Hassan was the starter. Eli Heidenreich was listed as number 2 at one spot, Fabian France third, Anton Hall 2 at one spot, Daniel Jones third. Are those the same names still in the mix for the depth chart, or are there new names? I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't heard a whole lot about Eli or Fabian during this camp. I've heard a lot about Brandon Chapman performing well. Heard Anton is learning the position. Daniel Jones, the guy that's been around a long time. What are some of the names that are in the mix to get on the bus?
Those list of names are still in play. All those guys you named, the guy who would probably need to be added to that list is Tyler Bradley, who's a plebe out of Daphne, Alabama. He's a Naps player last year, but he's emerged as a guy who could potentially provide some depth for us this season. And he's had a great camp. I mean, he plays fast. He knows what to do. He's a strong kid, not very big, but he's strong and he's fast, and he can operate fast on the football field. But he's a guy who's who probably could be added to that list of guys. But all of those other names are probably remain status quo for the time being.
So I asked
Wags, we sent out the updated depth chart yesterday, by the way.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, it was sent to the media list. It's a Navy game notes. Yeah.
All right. So is that what I'm looking on? I just called it up on the.
It's updated on the web. Yes.
Okay, so Chapman and Hassan are number 1 right now.
Correct.
Okay, got it. So as far as Amin, I've been hearing a lot. He's only a junior, but I've been hearing a lot that he's kind of set the standard and been a leader of the group. Actually, Coach Chestnut told me that when I asked him who sets the standard at various positions, and I asked Slot, he mentioned Amin. Do you feel that's the case?
Yes, without a doubt. Amin he's the bona fide leader in the slot room, and I'd argue that one of the bona fide leaders on the offensive side of football. The kid he loves ball. He loves ball. He takes the game serious. That's how he approaches meetings. That's how he approaches practice. He's not afraid to correct guys. He's not afraid to help guys, obviously, but and he's probably our best communicator. Outside of the quarterback, you obviously have to communicate every play. Every snap. To the entire offense. But Amin is just that's what you want in the football player. He is an old school football player, in every sense of the term. Great kid. I love Amin.
So, we've been hearing a lot about Daniel Jones since he was a sophomore. I seem to recall a spring when he was making a lot of plays, breaking long runs. But the truth of the matter is, in terms of game production, he hasn't really done it. He's a senior now. This is it. You feel like Daniel Jones is ready to show up?
Yes, Daniel's had a solid camp. Again, he definitely possesses the tools, to be a game breaker, as slot. He'll have his opportunities, and I think he can maximize those. But he definitely, has all the tools to be, a true game breaker for us at slot.
So who do you feel are the most dynamic slots with the ball in their hands? Who is a guy that can catch a pitch or maybe catch a ball out in the flat and make a guy miss and take it to the house with speed, juke moves, the whole nine.
Yeah, I'll be honest. All those guys are pretty good at that. They all can carry the football. I mean, guys that have really stood out. Brandon Chapman is a guy who he's dynamic with the football in his hands. Again, another guy who's not very big. He's slight in stature, but he has some juice, with the football. And I mean, we obviously got Anton Hall. I mean, we've seen what he can do with the football in his hand. And he's very explosive and has a lot of natural ability that some other guys just don't possess. So he's gonna provide a spark for us as well. And again, those other guys, they all have that ability. Some are faster, some are quicker. Some are stronger, some have better hands. But they all have something. They all bring something to the table in terms of ball carrying.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Joe Miller,
I'm good. Thanks, Scott.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, I know over the last couple of years, some of the biggest plays out of the backfield have come from the fullbacks. How important is it to get some big plays, some of those chunk plays from the slot backs this season?
It's very important because then defenses that'll help us keep defenses honest. They will have to respect every position on the field, not just not saying they've only respected the fullback, but they'll have to they have to know what we are as well. They have to know what we are, know what we're doing, as well as the quarterbacks, the fullbacks, and the wide receivers. So it will obviously help open up our offense. If we make plays, if A's actually make plays. It'll be to our advantage as an offense.
How would you describe the evolution of the triple option from when you were at the academy to what Coach Chestnut is bringing in his offense now to the Naval Academy?
I would describe it as just being more flexible, being more malleable, whatever term you want to use. Not being as stagnant, as we were 10, 15 years ago. Just being more flexible, having, more moving parts.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Randy.
Who of your guys, Coach, is the best route runner, is the best receiver as a running back? Because they'll have some situations, which is kind of fun to watch in this offense in general, where they'll get wide open.
I'd say the best receiver that I have in the room is Eli Heinrich. And partly, most of that has to do with he was a wide receiver in high school because he played on the same high school team as Alex Teskin. Alex Teskin was a running back. So he was a true wide receiver in high school. So he is probably the most polished as far as route running and just ball skill. He's a bigger slider, just about 6 feet tall. So he's probably the best route runner, just ball catching out of the backfield.